Fui a la orilla del río y vi que estábamos solas. Vi que te habías dormido. Fui a la orilla.
Buenos días. Vamos a presentar una de las
Good morning.
películas
We're
que
going to
compiten
present one of the
este
films
año
that
en la
competes this year in the official section of the San Sebastian Film Festival in its 70th edition, which is La Maternal by Pilar Palomero. And as there's so many people on the panel as well as in the audience, journalists, I'm going to introduce you to everyone and then open up the floor. Starting from the far end of the table or the panel to here, actress SHEILA BAÑOS.
ESTEL
Collado, actress.
JAMILA
BENGHARDA, actress.
CLAUDIA,
DALMAU, actress.
CARLA,
QUILEZ, actress. The director Pilar Palomero. Actress Ángela Cervantes. Actress Claudia Medina. And producers Alex, LaFuente and VALERIE DELPIERRE. Okay, let's start with the questions. There's one here. This boy, this one, and then, hi. Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for the film. And congratulations to the whole team. But I would like to ask Pilar, and then a question for Carla as well. Pilar, I'd like to know, how many girls did you see well, how many stories, better to say, more than girls for the cast? How many stories, and why did you just keep these stories of these girls? And Carla, I'd like to know, what was the most complicated or toughest part of the shoot, that is, say, shooting the film? Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much. Well, the truth is, I saw all of the girls I could, and got Carol, who's here, who's an educator. She was a cornerstone when preparing the script. She's an educator in a residential center for teenage mothers, and she introduced me to a lot of women who had gone through this experience. And the truth is, with her and the people with her and other people that I most talked to, when I wrote the script while I was documenting it, the film, the story is not based upon their lives, the truth be said, but it's impregnated by their way of being, who they are, their expressions, and so on. And then Carla and Ángela and Carla and Raquel, well, for example, Claudia, sorry, her name is Claudia. I had the good fortune of meeting them through a casting process. Well, for me, the most difficult moment of the shooting the film was truly getting to know their stories, because they are women who have fought very much throughout their lives, and I met them as people, as friends, and then I met them as colleagues for life, and then I knew about their stories, and they are my best friends at the end of the day. So it wasn't the toughest moment, but it was one of the best moments, because meeting the people that you've got surrounding you makes you know more about them and how they are and who they are. And I feel that they're marvelous women, and which I'd like to always be with for the rest of my life, shall we say. There's another question. Hi, good morning. Congratulations to all of you for the great, marvelous work that you've all done, and undoubtedly to Pilar. What I would like to ask her is, how did the idea emerge? That is to say, what made you think to show us the situation that is which is not that it's least frequent, but because it's less frequent doesn't mean that it's not that important. How did you select the babies? Because they're all so beautiful at the same time. Thank you. Well, let me start with the babies, okay, because it was quite complex because we could shoot with them for 20 minutes and they could spend an hour on set. So therefore, this required a lot of work by production and the management team. So therefore, the protagonist, baby, these are extras and at different ages. Another one, just in case, as a substitute. It was like a nursery, but we were very fortunate when shooting because they behaved very well. They cried when they had to cry. They slept when they had to sleep. And I was quite afraid of that moment. I said, I don't know how we're going to do this. And the truth is, they were marvelous, and the parents as well, because they were in favor of everything that went on. And vis-a-vis the first question, well, la maternal, it's an issue that was proposed by Valerie. We were in the editing room doing Las Niñas, and that residence for teenage mothers. We made an appointment at one of these centers in Barcelona. We met the director and the team, amongst them Carol. As it's not a reality that I've experienced myself close up, or I've lived in my environment or surrounding environment, I had to do this with just documenting myself and doing it with a lot of respect. So therefore, and for me, for example, there was a key moment in which I decided that I wanted to make this film, and I wanted to make it my following film, is when I met them, because Carol gave me their phone numbers, and I called them up, and I met with them to have some coffees, I imagine all you remember, and above all, that first phone call, the enthusiasm, yes, I'm here, I'll tell you everything you want, what you need, it's great that you're going to make marvelous that you're going to make this film, and this and indicated that there was a need to tell something. And then when I listened to them, when I listened to their life stories, and there was an enormous fascination I had, and then their stories that have really changed me and transformed me. I would like to take advantage of this moment when we're all here, especially so that they could speak and say what they have to say, because their experiences have been really what is the reason why we made this film. There's a question here. Pilar, congratulations. They say that the second film is the most difficult one. The congratulations. I hope that you're going to make many more films. Two questions. One is, the second film that you've made with young adolescents, do you feel comfortable? Because some people run away of shooting with adolescents. You did a great teaching work for teachers as well as for students. Do you think about doing the same? Because this film could even be much more didactic. Yes, well, I feel very comfortable working with in Las Niñas as well as now, working with adolescents. We've had a good time, and the truth is, it's been constant enjoyment, the truth be said, that's the feeling. And the truth is, I don't understand why people say this, that is to say, that it can be more complicated. But I think all the contrary. For example, when you're surrounded by such generous people, such as all these women have been, and all obviously with the will of giving it their all, and they've confided in me and put themselves in my hands, and that was marvelous. And the guide, well, the guide specifically is from the Aragon government, that of Las Niñas. It's an initiative from the Department of Education of the government of Aragon. When I read it, I was quite impressed by the analysis that's carried out, and it seems to be operating well in high schools and schools, and I'd love to have a guide being written with the film La Maternal. There's a question here. Hi, my question is for Pilar. Just like in Las Niñas, you tell a lot of things. Well, you don't tell everything, but you do convey a lot. That's why you found another protagonist who conveys a lot without saying anything. Do you like to follow that path, that we as an audience ask ourselves many more questions as regards these characters, yes, especially a film such as this, in which I don't have an answer either. Neither all of us do have. We have, well, there's a lot of doubts. It proposes reflections. It's the films I like and that I enjoy as a spectator when I watch these types of films. Yes, there was a question, Maria. Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for this film, which we've lived in the cinema quite porously, shall we say, with the audience, because it's been very exciting and moving. And Pilar, could you tell us, because of course I was reminding Juno what he did, for example, why your decisions of moving away from an epic piece and entering to what's more documentary type. And all of you, could you tell us how has La Maternal transferred you or transformed you, that is to say, La Maternal, the center? Now, this is your time. Claudia, your turn. Yes, can you hear me? Well, La Maternal brought a lot of, memories, because in the past, I lived through that experience. It was something that I relived and moved me very much, a lot of emotions, which I'm still trying to address. But what can I say? When I was in that center, I felt that the world was falling to pieces around me. I didn't feel comfortable at all, but good things come along as well, because from that experience I met Pilar, and we made this film, and the truth is I'm very happy because the rest of the girls have also got their real stories, and it's a pleasure to be that they've been able to tell it to one, and many other people are going to feel, women are going to feel identified who have been who are mothers at an earlier age. Thank you.
¿Queréis hablar?
¿Yo?
Me, okay.
Pues yo estoy muy contenta.
I'm very happy. I'm very moved. Going back to relive that part of my life, which was very difficult at that time, but now I live it with a sensation of overwhelming, of growing and maturing, which is life at the end of the day, isn't it? And thanks to that difficult stage, I'm living a dream at the present moment. Well, I'm very thankful and grateful, better said, because when I lived through this, it was an experience which was quite poor, very bad at that time in my life, and such a bad experience. Something as beautiful as this film has come up. This is something very good, so that the girls who feel identified should not hide and tell their families, and not to be afraid that they are young and pregnant, which isn't bad. Being a young mother doesn't mean it's going to ruin your life. It means that you're going to grow as a person, and along with your child who's going to give you your life, and to be a happy person, albeit you're a teenage mother, which doesn't mean anything. And I'm very proud to have lived what I've lived through, and I'm very happy to be here today, and I feel very proud. I feel quite proud after this film, because it means that I can overcome many things that I was very afraid to close down all of these stages, to come to the end of them, and to see that I hadn't overcome, and I didn't realize it. When I was in La Maternal Center, it was very tough because I didn't get along with any of the girls there, and it was a stage which was very harsh. Thanks to educators that supported me constantly, I needed to talk to someone. I had them there, and when you leave, you realize the truth is you go through a very tough stage, but it's very beautiful because you can have someone that accompanies you by your side. You can tell them everything without the fear of being judged, without being obviously indicated because of what you are. I suffered out in the street a great rejection of an elderly person when I was in the street, because I'd had my daughter because of
para que me dieran ayudas y
to
eso no
receive
fue así
aid, and such
realmente.
was not the case.
Cuando
And
somos madres
at
jóvenes,
all, when
somos
we're
muy
young
juzgadas
mothers,
tanto
we're
por
judged
gente
because
joven como
of young
nosotros
people like
o por
us,
gente
or
mayor sin
because
saber,
older
sin
people who don't
decir, pueden
know
opinar y tener
that they
este
can have an
derecho
opinion and they have
de
the right
juzgar a una
to
persona
judge a
sin saber
person without
lo que
knowing
lleva detrás.
what the whys
a
and
mí esta
whereabouts of their background.
Esta película me
And
ha ayudado
this film
muchísimo,
has
sobre
helped
todo
me
a
enormously,
conocer a Pilar,
especially to meet
a
Pilar
Rubén,
and
a
Rubén
Gala,
and Gala,
al equipo productor que nos
the
dieron
production
muchísimo
team
apoyo,
who gave us a
muchísimo
lot of
cariño,
support
y
and
que
a
en
lot
ningún
of
momento
affection,
nos faltó de nada,
and
y luego conocer a Carla,
we lacked nothing, and then meeting Carla as well.
Claudia,
Claudia.
fue muy guay,
It
son
was
unas
really
chicas muy
cool.
guays y
They're
la
really
verdad que me
cool
gustó
girls,
muchísimo.
and I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Te queremos.
Carol, te queremos.
We love you, Carol.
Aquí hay una pregunta.
There's a question here. Hi, I'm over here. I'd like to ask about the music to the director. Why did you decide to use estopa as the main sound? And who sings on the credits? People didn't leave in the credits in the film theatre. Carla, how long have you taken? How did you prepare for that? Or how long have you studied the choreography in the film? The final song, end song, is a version of Tu Calor sung by La Húngara. And the reason it's La Húngara is because she was a mother when she was 15 years old. And when I knew about this, or found out about this, we'd already shot the film. And I felt that it had to be her because it closed the circle, that it supported the whole idea behind it. And it was beautiful because when she found out about the film, she told me her story and what she'd lived through. And I felt like at that time, meeting them and sit down to speak with them, it was a very emotional moment. And the recording per se was beautiful because she is cuddling an imaginary baby in her arms, and estopa, Tu Calorro, was a way of linking these two generations, that of Carla's and Penelope's. Also because I love the song, simply because I like the song, and it seemed to me that it was a song that could drive that emotion and connection between mother and child through the music, through Stopa as well as Tetangana. And as regards to the second question, I spent my life dancing since I was even 6 years old, and my life has always been dancing. I couldn't imagine that I would ever make a film and I'd have to dance in it. But it was quite easy for me because the truth is, the dance wasn't in the film, but Pilar met me and she put it into the film because the truth is, I express myself and I am who I am, just the way I am dancing. And it wasn't difficult because I'm used to doing and dancing is my life.
Aquí hay una pregunta de Conchita.
Conchita, a question? Good afternoon. I'd like to tell you, it's surprising how authentic, the authenticity you've created with the film. I think this is very difficult. And I would like to ask you, how did you rehearse this? What was the toughest, almost difficult sequences to shoot to provide how natural and how fresh and how real La Maternal Center is? And Ángela Cervantes, what was it like to live in cinema, a maternity, and to be such a young mother, but a mother? I'm very moved, okay? Perhaps I started being a professional actress in this project, and I'm the most nervous of all of them at present. I think that the most complicated situation was at the beginning of the film, the first part, when they're in Monegros, because there was a lot of pain. There was a lot of pain, and to go through that universe was complicated, but it was enjoyable because I was well accompanied, and Pilar confided in me very much. We worked for a lot, and when we shot the film, she gave us a lot of freedom. And what else? the rehearsals.
bueno,
Oh,
sí,
yes.
estuvimos,
Yes,
primero nos
we,
fuimos
first of
una
all, went
semana
for a week, spent a week, better
a
said,
Cardedeu,
at
con
Cardedeu
Carla y
with
Pilar.
Carla and
También
Pilar,
vino Rubén
and
Martínez,
Rubén
el coach y actor
Martínez,
de la
the
peli.
coach and actor in the
Jordan
film.
también estuvo
Jordan
ahí.
was also there.
Y aquí ya
And
creamos la
here we
relación
created the
con
relationship
Carla, fue
with
muy
Carla,
rápido.
and that was very quick.
No sé, conectamos
I don't know, we connected
muy instantáneamente.
almost instantly.
Y allí,
And
bueno, improvisamos mucho
we improvised
sobre lo que íbamos a
a lot
contar. Y
about
aparte
what we
con Pilar
wanted to
también
tell,
trabajamos sobre el
and with
guión.
Pilar we worked on the
después ya
script as well.
conocí
And then I
a las
met
protagonistas.
the protagonists,
Me
shall
contaron
we
sus
say. They
historias,
told me
que
their
fueron
stories.
supergenerosas
They were very
y
generous,
me da mucho respeto,
and I
como
feel
decías,
a lot of
de
respect, as
conocer
you
esta
said before,
realidad cerca y la
to
verdad
not
que
have
fue
this reality
un
very
reto
close to me. And the truth was that it
que
was
yo no sabía si
a
sería
challenge.
capaz.
I didn't know that I was going to be able to do so,
Pero
to
cuando
do
las
it. But
conocí,
when I met them,
y me emocionaron
and
tanto sus
their
historias,
stories
vi que
made
podía
me
hacerlo porque
moved me
además
so
fueron
much because
la mejor mirada que yo pude
it's the
tener,
best
porque
perspective
ellas
I
me
could have had
decían,
on their stories.
"Esto
They were
que has
saying that
dicho
what
me
you've
recuerda
said
cuando mi
reminds
madre,
me
pues,
when
era
my
el mejor
mother,
regalo que yo
and so
podía
on and so
tener, ¿no? Y
forth.
sabía que
And that
estaba
was the
yendo
best
por
gift I
buen
could
camino.
receive. And I
Y
knew
después
I
al
was going
final,
down the
cuando
right
lo
path.
haces
So
con
therefore,
amor y
when you do it
con
with love
respeto,
and with
todo
respect,
sale al final. Y
everything
con ellas es muy
ends
fácil
up
hacerlo.
working out at the end of the day. And I did it with them with a lot of love.
Hay una pregunta aquí.
There's a question over here. Hi, congratulations. Because once again, you've done it again, and Rubén and Pilar, you've moved us this way. It's marvelous. And above all, I've got two questions. The first is the level of magical emotion you managed to achieve in several scenes. How does the camera, how can you shoot so much intimacy with the camera in front of you, which gets in the way and bothers you at that time? But I'm more interested about that issue. And then another question, and going down to earth, is there a tribute or homage to Bigas Luna in this film? Of course, there were moments during the shoot which were very emotional. There's a specific scene, I'm not too sure whether you're referring to that one, in which something happened on set. There was a feeling of that we were all participating as a team in something that was very beautiful. For me, I think it was one of the most beautiful days of my life. I can just say it as simple as that. For example, I was able to seek empathy, understand us, share their experiences. They told us their experiences, and the whole team was very moved. There was an enormous silence, and there was a feeling of, it might sound a bit over the top, but this is why I want to make films, days like and moments like these, and it was truly quite special. And in this shoot, the truth is, there were a lot of moments like this of feeling the emotion and almost tears falling down your cheeks. But we've also laughed a lot at the same time. But and then what you were saying about Bigas Luna, well, Bigas Luna, in the origin of the film, for example, was in the shade, so to speak. But the fact it happened in Monegros, and the character of Ángela is called Penelope, it has to do with something that I imagined that helped me to start to write the script and to understand the place where I came from. But it's a nod towards Bigas Luna and Jamón Jamón, that I don't want it to sound ambitious nor arrogant at the same time, but I did imagine that she was the daughter that Sylvia had, Penelope Cruz, in the film, and we've shot in the same cafeteria, the same roadside eatery, and for example in the same football field. I admire Bigas Luna. The first time that I did a film course was one that he organized in Zaragoza, and it changed my life, because it was the moment I said, okay, this is what I want to do, make films. And it was my way of, well, obviously paying tribute to him, and I hope so, that's the case. But nevertheless, it doesn't affect the plot, but there is a small sort of a tribute, and just like you, that you've seen it yourself.
Antes de seguir con las preguntas,
Before
que
continuing with the
además
questions,
con los
there's
pendientes,
still
porque
some
vamos muy
pending,
justitos de
although
tiempo,
we
creo que es como
have
una
a very
pena
tight
no
schedule.
introducir en la conversación
Why don't we
a Alex y a
introduce
Valerie,
Alex and
¿no?
Valerie into the
No me
conversation?
gusta teneros aquí
I don't want to have you sitting
sin
here
decir
without
nada,
saying anything,
pero creo que,
but
ha
I
dicho una
think
cosa
that
Pilar muy
Pilar
interesante, ¿no?
said
Que es
something
eso
very
de, en
interesting,
uno de
is
estos momentos
that
te
in
das
one of those
cuenta de
moments
que
you realize
estás como en la profesión que
that
has elegido y
you're
que
in the
es lo que
profession
te
that you've
gusta.
chosen and you
Me
like
gustaría saber
making
un
films.
poco
And I'd like to know
vuestra relación con este
your
proyecto, ¿no? Es
relationship
la
with this
primera vez que
project. It's the
trabajáis
first
con
time you
Pilar,
worked with
pero el
Pilar,
enamoramiento de esta
but
historia y un poco
the
también cómo
falling in love with the
habéis
story,
vivido
for
este
example, and how
proceso
you've
que,
lived
por
through
lo
this
que a la mesa
process,
y por lo que
and
han
how
contado
what
todas
everyone has
vosotras,
told, all the girls have
Pilar
told us,
también,
and Pilar as
la
well,
emoción, la
the emotion,
intimidad, la sensación de
intimacy,
comunidad,
the
está
feeling
todo
of
tan
community
presente.
is
Entonces,
always
saber un
present.
poquito, muy breve, vuestra experiencia,
Quite
vuestra
briefly, could you
relación
tell
más,
us
casi
about your
más íntima,
experience
más
and your
personal
more
con la
intimate
película?
and personal relationship with the film? We're very moved. We're very moved. I'm not too sure we'll be able to answer your questions correctly, but I would say that it's a question of trust. When we started to work with Pilar, I remember she told me that she was questioning which perspective to take, to focus up on the educators or the girls, because it generated a lot of respect to her to take the perspective and the point of view of the girls. But when she met them, everything was so obvious to her. And this process, as we were from the outset, from the beginning of the project, we saw it grow from the initial or first idea. So all of the things that took place were quite evident, but then we have the issue of putting our trust in Pilar, that she knew what she wanted to tell, she knew how she wanted to tell it. We had a lot of luck with our casting director that understood very well and perfectly the tone that the film should have in that aspect as regards to this, and she was the one that proposed Ángela. Irene Roque she's the casting director, and she proposed Ángela. She discovered CARLA and discovered Claudia, and then she was able to compose the rest of the adult and young adult, juvenile adolescent cast. So I remember in the roadside bar, that was a decision of trust. It was like a play. It was like shooting in hell, and there were trucks, wind, the worst decision vis-a-vis production that we could have taken. But it was the best decision for production that we could have taken, because I say this as an example of all of the decisions that were made during the project, how we form part of this creative proposal from the point of view of trust, and it was all coherent with the story that we wanted to tell. And then because we had the good fortune that all of the people that we proposed the project to jumped on board, so therefore that's how it worked. The truth is, listening to them, I was reflecting upon the emotions that we feel here today, which are coming, coming to the fore now, because you're not touching the skin of the project from an emotional standpoint, not so much the producers, because we're thinking about the process per se, of the production, financing, and so on, and finishing the project. And obviously the journey it's got to take. Now and Valerie, as well as I, and I think we make a good tandem in production. We see a film, we think about the things that can move us, and then we see how to make them. And I think these things happen because of that. Yes, and I've not stopped saying this since we arrived, but obviously making a film is a sum of practical and pragmatic elements, a series of decisions, a series of problems that have to be overcome or resolved. But yesterday, we lost the plot. They said, let's be brief. Okay.
No sé si hay tiempo para
Thank
una
you.
última
I don't know
pregunta.
whether there's time for a last
Bueno,
question.
me
Okay,
sabe
final
muy
question.
mal, Ángela,
Okay,
las
I'm sorry,
preguntas
some
que no se han
questions
podido
are
hacer,
still
pero
have
tienen
not
una
been
agenda
asked, but they have a very
complicada,
tight
son
and
muchas,
complicated
están muy
agenda.
emocionadas
There are a lot of them,
y
and
que,
they're
bueno,
very
que tienen
moved,
toda la tarde
and they've got all
gestionada para
afternoon in
ellas, con lo que paséis
for the
una
Festival
buena
for the Youth.
tarde.
I have a good
Muchas gracias por
afternoon.
vuestra película y
Congratulations for your
muchas
film,
gracias.
and thank you very much for being here.